Hello everyone, my name is Erica Briggs, and for this research project I have been focusing on animal agriculture. The title of my study is Animal Agriculture, a Pressing Danger to Humans and the Environment. So the purpose of this study is essentially to explain why human interactions, specifically in terms of animal agriculture, have been contributing greatly to global warming and climate change, and how this is affecting humans and the environment. My thesis is animal agriculture has a negative impact on the environment and the human population because it is depleting forest land, contributing to the release of the three most dangerous greenhouse gases, and ultimately is a danger to human health. I chose to word my thesis this way because I believe that these are the three most pressing dangers of animal agriculture today and that they need to be brought to the public's attention. This topic was very easy for me to choose for a few reasons. I've already researched a bit into this topic previously, and I am a vegan and have been interested in understanding the problems with animal agriculture. I have also been involved with the environmental conservation as well as species conservation when working at the zoo in Philadelphia and in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Finally, I am also a pre-vet major, so it interests me to see how animals are being treated on livestock farms and in slaughterhouses. What is animal agriculture exactly? It is the practice of breeding animals for the production of animal products and for their recreational purposes. Humans use animal products very often, and these products do not solely consist of meat. Dairy, leather, and fur are three examples of other ways humans exploit animals for their lifestyle. Animal agriculture relates a lot to the geographic standards listed on National Geographic's website. There are four main standards I have noticed relate to my topic in some way. The main one is standard number 14. This standard states how human impacts the physical environment. One of the subsets of this standard talks about the modifications of the environment and then the consequence, whether it be good or bad. In this case, the modification is building factories and farms for animal agriculture, and the consequence is releasing harmful gases into the atmosphere and possibly having a negative effect on human health as well as the environment. Standard number 18, which states how to apply geography to interpret the present and plan for the future, also relates to this topic. Analyzing this current environmental issue is a subset of this standard and will allow for me to plan for a better environmental future. It is essential that we begin to plan for the future in terms of livestock production. With the continuation of today's practices, there could be extreme consequences to human health and the environment. Standard 1 states how to use maps and other geographic representations, geospatial technologies, and spatial thinking to understand and communicate information. Since I created a map in this study to explain deforestation in the United States over the past 2 decades, I thought that this standard related well to my topic. Finally, Standard 7 relates in a small amount. It states the physical processes that shape the patterns of Earth's surface. The carbon cycle is a very important part of my argument. This is a physical process that shapes Earth's surface, and I discuss this process in my paper and in the future in this presentation. As many of you know, trees are a converter of carbon dioxide to oxygen. This process is known as the carbon cycle. Without trees, there would be an overwhelming amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. With the influx of this gas into the atmosphere from animals, cutting down more trees becomes a great worry as there are not enough trees to convert all the carbon dioxide released. Agriculture is also one of the #1 competitors of land with forestry. In fact, based on the research I've done, between 26 and 30% of all land is used for the production of animals. This includes space that is used to produce feed for the animals. The map displayed here is a handmade map. This map displays the depletion of forest area over the past almost 2 decades. This data was gathered on the website Global Forest Watch. All of their data comes from collaboration of the Global Land Analysis and Discovery Lab at University of Maryland, NASA, and Google. This map helps support my thesis because it displays the rapid depletion of forest area all over the United States. As I explained in my research, forest area continues to be depleted at a rapid pace. The red-brown shading in the background on the map displays the average forage coverage in the year 2000 in the United States. The green dots depict the areas that lost forage coverage due to deforestation since the year 2000. For the purpose of this map, tree coverage was defined as any vegetation that is 5 meters in height or taller. It is very clear that deforestation is a very big problem in the United States, whether or not this forest area was destroyed for animal agriculture. This goes hand in hand with all countries around the world because as the demand for more animal products and animal farming increases, the demand for more land will increase as well. There needs to be some sort of way to find land for this farming without destroying tons and tons of forest area. The three most common gases released from animal agriculture are methane, carbon dioxide, and nitrous oxide. The most dangerous greenhouse gas is methane. Methane has a higher global warming potential than carbon dioxide. This means that even though carbon dioxide is more abundant in the atmosphere, one molecule of methane can trap more heat than a molecule of carbon dioxide. The reason these gases trap heat are mostly due to their molecular structure. The atoms are held together so loosely that they vibrate when they absorb heat. Eventually, the molecule will release this heat and it will be absorbed most likely by another greenhouse gas molecule. Through this process, the heat stays in the atmosphere and continues to warm Earth's surface. This is one of the major reasons why greenhouse gases are such a concern. According to Goodland in the article Livestock Contributes to Global Warming, he states, our analysis shows that livestock and their byproducts actually account for at least 32,564 million tons of carbon dioxide per year, or 51% of annual worldwide global greenhouse gases emissions. This is an extremely high and alarming number of CO2 released into the atmosphere. In another article titled Greenhouse Gas Emissions from Animal Houses and Manure Stores, researchers studied the release of greenhouse gases during feeding times. They ultimately concluded that there was a 30 to 50% increase in the release of gases like carbon dioxide and methane during feeding times. They spent a lot of time researching when emissions were highest, and it was determined to be directly after a feeding. The reason for the high releases from the animals at this time can most likely be attributed to flatulence. One of the other main places responsible for the release of emissions is manure and slurry. Manure and slurry are an inevitable product of the storage of livestock. There are many reasons why animal agriculture also proves to be detrimental to human health. This is extremely important to understand because there is a direct impact on how we live. Animal products are not always beneficial to human health. Though many people say they are high in protein and calcium, animal products also have a very high cholesterol and fat levels. There are many other sources of protein and calcium for an average consumer that just aren't as well known. In recent studies, it has been found that due to increased temperatures, most likely caused by the large amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, there have been a higher risk of many different diseases and allergens. Mosquitoes are a major carrier of malaria, and they breed in a warm, wet climate, which has been much more prevalent in the past years as global warming has become a bigger concern. There have also been stronger and hotter heat waves that have been fatal to many older adults. Of course, researchers have to attribute some of the temperature changes to natural climate variability, but there has been way too much of an increase in temperature to let it go unnoticed. For this research, I collected two different types of data, that being secondary and primary. All of my secondary data was found through Rowan's Library or Google Scholar. I found over 21 articles and research studies that relate to my topic. Some are a little bit older than others, but they were still useful in my paper. Not all of these articles that I found were used. I did use a very large chunk of them, but many of them were not necessary. In terms of primary data, I created a survey online. In this survey that I conducted, I prepared 10 questions, which you will see in the next slide on the website SurveyMonkey. After deciding on these questions, I shared the survey on my Facebook page and asked if anyone could take time out of their day to complete this poll. Since it was shared on my Facebook, all of those people who responded are on my Facebook friends list. My hypothesis going into this survey was that the majority of educated people, interviewing those only with a high school degree or greater, do not know that animal agriculture has any negative impacts on the planet or on themselves. I did get a greater response than I had planned originally. I got 74 responses, so I'd like to think that the data is not that skewed, and it does show what the majority of people thought. This slide displays the results from my primary research. In the first graph on the left, all three of these questions have simple yes or no answers to begin understanding each person's knowledge on my topic. Everyone who took the survey was required to have at least a high school degree, so the answer to the first question was expected to result in unanimous yes answers. I also expected a majority of answers for the other two questions to be yes. Have you heard of climate change, and do you know what animal agriculture is? It seems that though a lot of people have heard of climate change, approximately 94.59%, they do not know what animal agriculture is, even though this is one of the main contributors. In the second graph on the bottom is where I have most of my questions. Shockingly, many people, approximately 68.92%, responded that they have been taught about climate change previously, whether that be in school or at home. Despite the fact that they have been taught about climate change, the majority of people who answered responded that they were unsure whether or not animal agriculture was a contributor of climate change. Though most people are unsure if animal agriculture is a contributor to climate change, they do believe that it can have a negative impact on human health. The responses to the fourth question in the series actually surprised me. The fourth question reads, if you were better educated on animal agriculture and you were aware that it had a negative impact on your health, would you attempt to make a change to your diet and actions? The, I, I was greatly expecting the answer to this question to be an overwhelming yes. The most popular answer to this question was yes, 55.41%. However, I expected that if people were aware of negative health impacts that animal agriculture carried, they would attempt to make a change. For those people who put unsure, about 28.38%, I can understand that response as it may depend on what the negative impacts are. However, some people simply chose no, approximately 16.22%, meaning that they would not do anything despite the bad effects on their health. Finally, the last question in this series, which is, did you know that animal agriculture is the #1 contributor to the release of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, even above automobiles? This question yielded the results that I expected. The majority of people, about 68.92%, stated that they did not know that animal agriculture was the #1 contributor to the release of greenhouse gases. The final graph on the top right shows the questions that were more in-depth that I could not combine into either of the other two. There are two questions and they both yielded the expected results. The statistics on the left respond to the question, how much do you currently know about climate change? The answers were, I am very well educated on the topic, I know of climate change but do not know much, and I know little to none about climate change. The majority of people surveyed, 62.16, seem to know of climate change but do not know much. In the second half of the graph, the other question asks, have you changed your diet to reflect any of your beliefs? 70.27 people responded that they have not changed their diet based on what they know about climate change or animal agriculture. This is what I expected, as eating animal products has become normal in society today and it is rare that people change their diets unless they have to. It is clear that many scholars can form a connection between animal agriculture and the depletion of forest land, the release of greenhouse gases, and a decrease in human health. Forest land is important for many reasons, as it benefits humans and the environment. My research found that a very large percentage of the destruction of forest area is due to animal agriculture and the need for space for livestock farming. This is a major problem for the future as trees are necessary to sustain multiple forms of life. Greenhouse gases are being released at a more rapid rate, most of it stemming from animal flatulence as well as manure and slurry. This is growing into a major problem that needs to be addressed immediately. Major health issues can also stem from animal agriculture, including direct and indirect issues. The major indirect issues seem to be increased mortality rates from heat waves, floods, and droughts. The major direct issues seem to be accounts of malaria, increased diarrheal episodes, and bacterial infections. In conclusion, as shown by the research, there are many links between the increasing temperature of the planet and the animal agriculture industry. To ensure a livable planet for generations to come, something has to be done to minimize the destruction that humans have already caused. Humans have the potential to drastically shape the future of this planet and reduce the global greenhouse gas emissions produced from animal agriculture. Further research needs to be done to uncover more mitigation efforts, but understanding the problems is the first step to finding a solution. There are already some mitigation efforts that we can take, such as reducing our meat intake or instituting a tax on animal products to make them more difficult to get. I challenge everyone to take a deeper look into animal agriculture and make a change because we can all make a difference in our lives, the lives of future generations, the lives of animals, and the life of our planet. Thank you all very much for listening to my argument, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.